the recording. If there's anything you're unclear on as we're going along, just feel free to stop me.
Cool.
So if you want to follow along the paper, you can. Don't get too caught up on the exact verbiage on this, okay? So if I say it a little different than what's on the paper, don't sweat it.
Okay.
If you say it just the way I say it, you'll pass. If you say it just the way it's on the paper, you'll pass. So they might not coincide perfectly, but I'll do my best, okay? Because they've changed it up a little.
As long as we understand the logic,
yes.
that's it.
Okay, so starting from the outside of my truck, okay? So it starts with the front of tractor, all right? So all my lights, which are my clearance lights and my headlights, are all secured, not cracked or broken. They're working properly, and they are amber and clear in color. My mirrors are secured, both my hood mirrors and my mirrors up there on the door. All my mirrors are secured, not cracked or broken, clean and adjusted to me. My windshield is secured, not cracked or broken. My truck is not leaking. And you bend down like this and say my truck's not leaking or leaning to either side.
Okay.
If it were leaning, that would indicate either a broken spring or a flat tire.
Okay.
Once you get through those guys, then you're going to start on the inside of the engine bay. So you always start on the passenger side. All right, so we've got coolant reservoir, secured, filled to the proper level, and not leaking.
Okay.
My coolant hoses are secured, no rips, cuts, tears, or frays. They are not leaking. My exhaust is secured, not cracked, not broken, no signs of soot. And my water pump, which is down here, is this whole guy right there. If you forget where it's at, just follow your water pump or your water line, right? Or coolant, yeah. So your water pump is this whole thing here. My water pump is secured, working properly. It is gear driven on this truck, okay? Secured, working properly, gear driven. That's it for this side. And then we'll go to the driver's side.
Okay.
Yep. But you always watch your head come around here. Don't whack your head on this thing.
Okay.
Or get. I've done it.
Cool.
Okay, so driver's side. Okay, so even though it's on your in cab, I still do it out here, okay? Because you can't see it from the in cab, obviously.
Oh,
So
okay.
my washer fluid reservoir is secured, filled to the proper level, and not leaking.
Okay.
My air and electric lines, if you forget which are air and electric, they're multicolored, just like the ones back there. Okay?
Yeah.
Air and electric lines secured, no rips, cuts, tears, or frays, not leaking. They are working properly. My engine block is just the whole situation up here, okay? It's actually behind all these wires.
Yeah.
We can just say engine block is secured.
Okay.
No visible cracks, not leaking.
Okay.
My oil is secured, filled to the proper level, not leaking. I would fill my oil here and check my oil here. If for some crazy reason, if they ask, tell them that you would pull out, if they say how, say I would pull out my dipstick, wipe it off, put it back in, then pull it back out.
When the engine is on
When
or
the
off?
engine is off.
Oh.
10
minutes on, 10 minutes on?
10 minutes on from cold. If you've been running all day, you can just shut it off and it don't matter. It just has to be the oil has to get warmed up so it can move around on the gears and stuff like that first.
Okay.
Okay. So my alternator is secured and working properly. It is belt driven. My serpentine belt is secured with no rips, cuts, tears, or frays, and it has no more than 3/4 of an inch of play. My alternator wires are secured with no rips, cuts, tears, or frays. They are working properly. My air compressor, it's the square one here, so my air compressor is secured, working properly. It is gear driven. Now I'll get into my power steering components. Okay, so my power steering reservoir is secured, filled to the proper level, and not leaking.
Okay.
Power steering hose, secured, no rips, cuts, tears, or frays. It is not leaking. Power steering pump, which is down here, again, follow your line. Okay, so power steering pump is secured, working properly, and it is gear driven. My power steering box is secured, working properly. My power steering linkage is secured and working properly. It's not cracked or broken. It consists of a pitman arm and a drag link. Those are connected with a castle nut and a cotter pin. Okay? We're good there. Okay, so now frame to wet hub. Okay, so my frame is secured. No cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. So it's just this whole thing that goes back and forth. Okay, my spring mounts are secured front and rear. Okay, those are secured.
Which one is spring mount? This, the whole
Spring mounts are these guys front and rear. Yep.
Yeah.
So this whole long piece is a spring.
Yeah,
So
that's
your
a spring leaf at the bottom.
Yeah, leaf springs with the mounts both being in the front and rear. And they're all secured, not cracked or broken. My springs themselves are secured, no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. They are in alignment. Okay, none of them are bent or disfigured. My U-bolts are secured and tight with my nuts tightly secured on the bottom. Both my U-bolts are present.
Okay.
My shock or strut or shock absorber is secured top and bottom with no signs of leaking from the center.
Okay.
My airliner brake chamber is secured, not leaking. My brake chamber is secured, not leaking, with no dents. My slack adjuster is secured and working properly, and I would check adjustment with either a 1-inch manual pull or 2 inches, no more than 2 inches when the push rod is applied.
Okay.
Okay, so that 2 inch on the push rod applied would be if you had someone inside pressing on the brake pedal.
Okay.
Then you measure 2 inches, okay? Okay, moving on to our LSD, okay, lining, shoes, and drums, okay? So my linings, which is like the pad itself, my linings, my lining, shoes, and drums, you give it this umbrella statement, okay? You say not cracked, not broken, no missing rivets for all my lining, shoes, and drums, okay? And then you get into each of these LS and D, each one has its own specific attributes. So you would say my linings have at least 1/4 inch of the thinnest point.
Yeah.
You can say my shoes, which are the things that hold the linings in place. My shoes have no oil, which would indicate an inner hub oil seal leak. And then my drums have no bluing, which would indicate overheating. Okay, so it's lining, shoes, and drums. Okay, that's your LSD.
All right.
LSD, no cracks, not broken, no missing rivets, and then all that other fun stuff, okay? Now you're ready to start working your way out, okay? So I'm just gonna go in and out of sidewall next. My in and out of sidewalls, no ABCs, no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts, okay? My tread, so the top of my tire now, my tread must have at least 4/32 of an inch left of tread. Both of my front tires must be new, they must match in size, and they must have even tread wear. They may not be retreads or recaps, okay? I would check my inflation with a commercial gauge. If they ask you what the pressure is, it's always on the side of the tire. So this one is 110 PSI, okay? Yep, okay, so, yeah, 110, all right, 110 PSI. Okay, my inner and outer rim now, I have a good bead to tire, so my bead is not bent, right? It's not like I hit a curb or something like that, so I have a good bead to tire on my inner and outer rim, okay, here. My rim itself, okay, no cracks, no hammer marks, no illegal welds on my whole rim. I have one valve stem, which is centered and not rubbing. It is not leaking. The cap is present. All my lug nuts are secured and tight. They're all present, okay, and there's no rust or shininess, which indicate looseness. Rust or shininess would be if one of these lug nuts started to back off, all that scored fresh metal underneath would get oxidized, right, turn into rust. And then that would be if they had just started to back off. If it was rusty, you would know it had been loosening for a while, and that means you're not doing your pre-trips, okay? Yeah. So no rust or shininess to indicate looseness. I have a wet hub on my first axle, which is secured, filled at the proper level, and not leaking. Okay, and how you feel that is, this is literally just like a cap. It just pops off.
Okay. Do you pop it out or no?
Yep. No, you don't have to, but that's how, just so you know, that's how you do it.
Yeah, it's
just put a little oil right in there, yep. It's called, and we got wet hubs on the front, okay?
Okay.
And then you struggle to put it back in like me. Okay, so that's all of my first axle, okay? So now that would be the section A.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Now starting on section B, beginning on driver's side door, okay?
Okay.
Mess. All right, so driver's side door. Okay, my door opens and closes. Okay, you're gonna have to grab the handlebar here. The handle. Okay, my handle is secured. It is affixed to the body. It is not wiggling, okay? My hinges are secured, top and bottom. They are working properly, okay? My mirror, again, I'm gonna cover all my bases several times. So my mirror, again, now I can see it here. It's secured, not cracked or broken, clean and adjusted to me. My running boards are secured, free of damage. My fuel tank, okay, sit back here now. I only have one fuel tank for this truck. So my fuel tank is secured, working properly. It is not leaking. My fuel tank straps, I have 2 of them, one here, and then one behind, which you can't see.
Yeah.
2 fuel tank straps are both secured, not rip cut, torn, or frayed. They are working properly. My fuel cap is secured. It is not leaking, and it has a good gasket, chain, and T-bar. You gotta say that, gasket, chain, and T-bar, okay? Don't tell them about your crossover lines or the valve in the opposition, because those are for dual tank trucks. We only have one tank, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
Okay, moving right along. They don't care about depth, all right? So my air and electric lines are connected from my tractor. Gotta say both. Connected from my tractor to my trailer. They are connected with glad hands. My air lines are secured and not leaking. They are not rip cut, torn, or frayed. My electric line is connected from my tractor to my trailer with the pigtail, okay? This is not rip cut, torn, or frayed. And all my air and electric lines are at least 2 inches above my catwalk. They are not dragging.
This one is not called glad hand with the electric
No,
line, yeah?
that's pigtail.
Pigtail.
Pigtail, glad hands.
Okay.
Yep. And then my catwalk, so no more than, or 2 inches, right off the catwalk.
Yeah.
So that reminds me, okay, talk about my catwalk. My catwalk is secured, free of debris.
Okay.
Now in the middle here, which I can't see, but I'll point down there, is my drive shaft. Okay, drive shaft is secured, not bent, broken, or twisted, and is working properly. My torque rod, which is this guy right here.
Can you look?
Yep. My torque rod,
Okay.
see that guy there?
Yeah.
Is secured, working properly. It is not bent, broken, or twisted, and is connected from my frame to my differential. Okay, that's my torque rod. All right, now I can move on out here. Oh, excuse me, one last thing, exhaust. So I mentioned exhaust back here as well. So my exhaust is secured, not cracked, not leaking, no signs of soot, and all my exhaust mounts are secured and working properly. My exhaust is fixed in place. Cool, okay? Moving on to my second axle now. So second axle, start inside, work my way out again. It's all the same stuff now. My frame, okay, frame is secured, no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. My shocks are secured top and bottom, no signs of leaking from the center. My springs are secured front, right here. Well, my spring mounts, excuse me, are secured front and rear, inside. Pardon me, springs.
The rear spring mounts, yeah?
Yeah, they're back here, yeah. Springs are secured and in alignment. They're not bent, broken, cracked, or damaged. My airline to brake chamber, which
These are
is...
spring leaves, yeah?
Yeah, leaf springs again, yeah.
Spring leaves and
Yep.
spring mounts, okay.
Or helper springs or whatever. Yeah, usually called leaf springs. Inside here, you can see it through here actually, is my brake chamber. Okay, so my airline to brake chamber is secured, working properly, not leaking. My brake chamber is secured, working properly. It is not dented. My slack adjuster is secured and working properly. And I would check my adjustment with a 1-inch manual pull or 2 inches when the push rod is applied. Some of the stuff I'm just kind of pointing back here because I can't point right at it,
Yeah.
and that's fine. So 2-inch push rod applied. Okay, so I got spring shocks, and now working my way in. Lining shoes and drums again. My lining shoes and drums, not
Which
cracked.
one is spring shocks?
The shocks are here.
Oh, that one is
Yeah.
shocks, okay.
And then the springs are these guys.
Okay.
So shocks, springs.
Okay.
Okay. And lining shoes and drums again, not cracked, not broken, no missing rivets. My linings have at least 1/4 inch of the thinnest point. My shoes have no oil, which would indicate an inner hub oil seal leak, and my drums have no bluing, which would indicate overheating. My inner and outer sidewall on both my tires have no abrasions, bubbles, or cuts. My tread depth on my second axle must be no less than 2/32 of an inch. All tires still must match in size and must have even tread wear, but these tires may be retreads or recaps. Okay? Still check inflation with a commercial gauge to whatever the rating is on the sidewall. 110 PSI for these as well. Okay, my inner and outer rims, I have a good beat to tire. For these two axles here, we have bud rims. Okay, so my bud rims are free of spacers, so no, like, you know, we're not trying to like rice out a Honda Civic, right? So no spacers in between here.
Yeah.
And free of debris. So any debris would be cans, rocks, just trash, you know, anything, puppies,
Has to be clean.
kittens, anything that can get caught in here, right? Nothing in there.
No sticking it.
Yeah. So no spacers, free of debris, okay? Okay, so inner and outer rim now, again, we did our good beat to tire. I have no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds on my whole rim. I have 2 valve stems, which are centered and not rubbing. Okay, I have one here and one here. Usually it's at 180 degrees, okay? So 2 valve stems, centered, not rubbing. Caps are present, not leaking. All my lug nuts are present. They're secured and tight with no rust, secured and tight, excuse me, with no rust or shininess, which indicate looseness. And on my second axle, I have dry hubs. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Easy way to remember that is on my drive axles, so 2 and 3, I have dry hubs. It rhymes, okay? Drives are dry. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it right now for the sake of time, but if you nail this one perfectly, then most likely we'll have you skip this one, okay?
Wow.
So, let them know when you're finished. I'm now done with my second axle. I would like to move on to my third axle.
We're still on B.
We're still on B.
Okay.
If you got this one perfect, they'll tell you, I don't want to hear about all this, just tell me the difference.
Okay.
Because it is exactly identical. Oh, excuse me, I did forget one thing, my airbags, which are behind my shock there, okay? My airbags and both axles have them.
Okay.
Secured, working properly, not leaking, okay? No rips or cuts. My third axle. If they say, what's the difference between your third axle and your second axle, and tell them to check the spring brake adjustment on my third axle, I would chalk my wheels, release my tractor brake from the cab, and then check my slack adjuster with a 1-inch manual pull or 2-inch push rod applied. So last bit is the same, but you're changing how you get there, right? So you have
Do
to
they
chalk
usually
the
ask
wheels.
this? Pretty
They
much?
do. If you get this one down, they're probably gonna act, because they don't want to hear all that again.
Okay.
It's exactly the same, but that's only if you nail that one.
Okay.
If you forgot some stuff, they might just have you go ahead and do this.
Okay.
And they're actually, by doing that, they're giving you a chance to remember. Because you got to get it for both, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now we'll get into our coupling device here. So our sliding fifth wheel.
Yeah.
So sliding fifth wheel, okay? We have our mounting which is on top here. So this whole long piece. Mounting is secured to my platform, which is the bottom one. It's like this L brace. See that? Excuse me. Mounting is secured to my platform. No cracks, hammer marks, illegal welds. All my nuts and bolts are present and tight. My fifth wheel is secured and locked in place. My sliding pins are secured and locked in place. My release arm is secured and locked in place. My safety latch is secured and locked in place. I have no gaps or spaces between my fifth wheel and my bed plate. My fifth wheel is properly greased and free of debris. My air line, which is that coily line right there, my air line for my sliding fifth wheel has no rips, cuts, abrasions, or tears, and it is not leaking. And then on the inside of here, so inside where we have our kingpin and locking jaws. So my locking jaws are secured around my kingpin, and my kingpin is secured properly to my trailer. It is not bent, broken, or damaged. Okay. And then moving to the rear of the tractor now, just like I think 2 more things here. So we got our mud flaps.
Okay.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
Mud flaps are secured, not ripped, cut, or damaged. They're covering at least 75% of my tires.
Okay.
And all of my lights and reflectors on the rear of my tractor are secured, working properly, not cracked or broken, and red in color. They don't care about the backup lights, to my knowledge, so you don't have to say anything about that, okay? So that'd be B.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So now starting on C, we're going to move back to the front of the trailer now. Okay. All right, so front of trailer now, okay? This will be starting on C.
Okay.
Now I'm just doing this like I got F, like I'm doing the whole thing, okay? But just so you know what separates them. And they'll tell you down there. They'll tell you what the separation is. So C. Okay, so again, air electric line still on C. So connected from my tractor to my trailer with glad hands. They are not rip, cut, torn, or frayed. They are not leaking. They are secured and working properly. Electrical line secured from my tractor to my trailer with the pigtail. It is not rip, cut, torn, or frayed. It is secured and working properly. All my air and electric lines are at least 2 inches above my catwalk. My front of my trailer. My header board, which is inside, just like a bulkhead, keeps your load from shifting through and killing you. My header board is secured, working properly, it is free of damage. My trailer wall on the outside is secured, working properly, it's free of any damage, no bulges. All my rivets are present, okay, no missing rivets. My overhead lights, my clearance marker lights up there are secured, working properly, not cracked or broken, and they are amber in color. The side of my trailer, so my trailer wall again, no bulges, no damage, no missing rivets. All of my lights and reflectors and more lights back there on the side of my trailer are secured, not cracked or broken. They are working properly and they are amber in color. My frame rail right here, my frame rail is secured, no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. And then my floor supports, which are under here. So floor supports are like the ribs, okay? So floor supports go across, and they go all the way down to the back.
Okay.
My floor supports are also secured, no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. Landing gear.
Landing gear.
My landing gear handle is secured, locked in place. It is working properly. My landing gear moves up and down freely like it should. My landing gear shoes are secured, working properly, and there's no debris in there. So debris would be any big rocks, pebbles, anything that could bounce off while you're driving and crack a windshield, okay?
Okay.
Or give someone a concussion on a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
If they're not wearing a helmet. If you're in Utah. Okay. So, so then my landing gear mounts, which are these guys here. Mounts are secured, free of any damage, and all the bolts for the mounts are present, top and bottom. My landing gear cross supports, which are in here. Okay, they're the ones that go like make a cross kind of thing.
Yeah.
The landing gear cross supports are secured, not cracked or broken. They are working properly.
Okay.
And the last little kind of a curveball here is, we'll say we have a good clearance between our landing gear and the rear of our tractor. So like when the truck moves like that, it's not gonna like hit it, okay? After landing gear, you just move straight back. We'll get into the air and electric lines down here. All right, so air and electric lines. Okay, they're secured. They're not cracked, not leaking, no rips, cuts, tears, or frays. They're up and off the ground. They're not dragging. My sliding rails for my sliding tandems now, okay? Sliding rail, secured, no cracks, hammer marks, or illegal welds. It goes all the way to the rear. Looks like an erector set. Okay, sliding pins are secured, locked in place. We have 4 of them. 2 on this side, 1 here, 1 back there, and then 2 on the other side, okay? So sliding pins secured and locked in place, same as up there. Release arm, secured and locked in place, right here.
Okay.
And then next is my cast, okay? Remember this one, cast, like a cast on your arm. Control arm, stabilizer, and torque rod. Control arm is this thing that looks like a bird's head.
Yeah.
Like an Aztec bird's head.
Yep.
Control arm, Stabilizer runs side to side. It stabilizes movement from side to side on my torque rod right here. Okay? If you forget which one's stabilizer, which one's torque rod, this one has like threads on it, so it can be torqued down, okay?
It's alright.
Torque rod right there.
Okay.
Okay, so my fourth axle now, let me go ahead and hop out. Knees are bad. Okay, so fourth axle, okay, is identical to my second and third axle, okay?
Okay.
With only two differences.
Okay.
I have wet hubs again back here now.
Okay.
So they're not dry like my second and third are. And instead of shocks, I still have springs, I still have airline and brake chamber, slack adjuster, all that. But instead of shocks, I have a spring equalizer, okay? And that's this sucker right here. Your spring equalizer is also your front and rear spring mounts. Okay, see how that works? So springs go this way,
Yeah.
springs go that way. But then it's called a spring equalizer bar, right? Basically, it's just when one axle goes up, the other one comes down.
Ah, okay.
Right?
Cool.
That's all it is. So if you get all the way back here, let's say you get F and you come all the way back here, and they might just be like, hey, tell me what the difference is between these axles. Right, well, I got wet hubs that are secured, not leaking, filled to the proper level,
And a spring.
and a spring equalizer bar instead of shocks, okay?
Okay.
If you just get C and you give them this whole thing, again, lining sheets of drums, inner and outer sidewall,
Yeah.
braces, bubbles, cuts, bud rims, because we got bud rims back here too. If you just get C and you nail this fourth axle, they're not gonna have you do this. They might say, tell me the difference between 5 and 4. No difference.
Not even.
No difference whatsoever. These are identical, okay? Everything else remains the same.
Okay.
We're moving on to the rear of the trailer. This is messed up from different designs and patterns. You're correct, good observation. However, according to the DOT, things like that don't exist. According to them. But good eye. Means you're looking. Okay, so let's go ahead and crouch down here. We got both our mud flaps again. Are secured, not ripped, cut, or damaged. They're covering at least 75% of my tire. Rear of my trailer, okay, so all my lights and reflectors on top and bottom, all my lights and reflectors are secured, not cracked or broken. They are working properly and they are red in color. My trailer door, my handle latches properly. My other handle here is secured. My door goes up and down freely. Whoops. My latch, door handle, whoops, locks in place. And the last thing is my DOT bumper is secured and no signs of damage. It is affixed with DOT tape. And if you want to, you can tell all my tag lights are secured and working properly.
My phone from a helicopter right fence, is that right?
Oh, right there? No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. And so for the last thing, guys.
The ABS light?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yes, some do. I think this one is on this one. I don't know. Usually there's a sticker that says it is or not. I think so, because I think this one does have ABS, because it's a 12 pin.
Okay.
So before you're done,
Yeah.
you would say I would check my passenger side the same way as I check my driver's side. This includes my pre-trip inspection.
Okay.
That's it.
One more question. What
Sure.
is tandem?
Tandems?
Yeah.
So on any given trailer, okay, on any commercial vehicle, there are different kinds of trailer axles. Okay, so these, everything you see here, those, these, and those are all called tandem axles, which means
Tandem
that
axle.
they are in tandem to one another. They are fixed. They slide. Some have fixed, like Anthony's trailer, he has fixed tandems. They don't slide. They slide. So tandem. Right. And then you'll see mostly on like flatbeds, you'll see they have split axles, where they'll have one axle like here, and another one like way up here. It's to disperse the weight differently. And then sometimes they have split sliding axles, where they'll have one fixed here, and then the one up here will slide.
Oh.
So, but a tandem is just a specific type of trailer axle combination, which is just these. These are
So when you're backing up or something, when you say tandem,
yeah, Harley stopped telling everyone about this in the class. I think, I don't know if I'm not in the class that know this. We'll have to ask them about that. But, so these are our tandems. So, okay, start with number one. Number one is steers.
Okay.
And you're going to need to know this when you go over the road, too, because that's the lingo they're going to use, right?
Yeah.
So, first axle is steers, because they steer.
Yeah.
Okay? Second and third are drives, because they drive you, they push you.
Yep.
4 and 5 are tandems. Yep.
And that's it? We're done.
And that's it. That's the whole
Hey,
pre-trip.
thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate
So
it.
it's not a lot, and it's very, very repetitive.
Perfect.
As long as you guys have Section A, and you know you know your frame to wet hub?